And that brings me, I think, one of the most impactful, and there's so much wisdom in this book, but what I want to move on to is people are hard to hate close up, move in. This concept of rehumanizing, not dehumanizing, it got me in the heart. It got me in the gut, especially what's happening now in our world. There's something that you wrote, and I want to read it because it is the core of ways that I've struggled in the past few years, not knowing how to approach conversations, not knowing how to invite people into a conversation, and to really take a hard look at my own biases and my own angers and how I would like the world to be. You wrote, if you are offended or hurt when you hear Hillary Clinton or Maxine Waters called a bitch, a whore, or the C word, you should be equally offended and hurt when you hear those same words used to describe Ivanka Trump, Kellyanne Conway, or Theresa May. When the President of the United States calls women dogs or talks about grabbing pussy, we should get chills down our spine and resistance flowing through our veins. When people call the President of the United States a pig, we should reject that language regardless of our politics and demand discourse that doesn't make people subhuman. I want that to be everywhere.
God, it's so hard.
It's so hard.
It's like,
but it's so
I want to take
important.
your iPad and just like research or heal myself. It's hard as hell because let me tell you about dehumanization and my concern about it and as I've witnessed it. Dehumanization is a very slippery, dangerous process. And I'll tell you where it starts. We are actually hardwired neurobiologically to not hurt one another. It goes against our human nature to treat each other, to be violent, rape, torture, degradation, humiliation. It actually goes against who we are. And we're wired that way to protect the species. We're a social species. We need each other. We're completely dependent on each other. The process of dehumanization is the process that we use to slowly, primarily using words and images, nothing more. Dehumanization is the process of slowly moving people out of, I want to use this table as an example, or this coffee. So here's a group of people that we want to harm. It's a group of people that we hate, a group of people that a leader has told us, here, this tea right here is the cause of all your pain and suffering. So we hate these people and we want to hurt them and we want to see them diminished. At the end of the day, at the end of the week, and the end of my life, I want to be able to say that I contributed more than I criticized.
And I said, oh my God, this is so true. This is so right. So I'm so happy that we're talking about this because I have never heard anyone talk about this, about dehumanization and rehumanization in a way that we can start to enter these really difficult conversations. And we're going to keep going into that, but to retain our dignity and the humanity for the people that we disagree with.
It is emotional offloading. It is gratuitous. It is self-indulgent. It is a way to offload our anger, our fear, and our rage, but it has nothing to do with social justice.
Right. So moving on, staying in the same zone, another really powerful passage. Is there tension and vulnerability in supporting both the police and the activists? Hell yes, it's the wilderness. But most criticism comes from people who are intent on forcing false dichotomies or shaming us for not hating the wrong people. This is where I see so much pain and conflict, especially because, I run an online business. Yeah. I'm paying attention to conversations on social media. And even when someone is trying to open up a conversation, I see so much misunderstanding. And if you're not with us, you're against us. Yeah. And there's no room for nuance. No. And I'm wondering if you can speak to this a little bit, because it was in the section about conflict transformation and how do we stay brave when having these difficult conversations. But you recently did a Facebook Live. You did one yesterday, and I watched it. And I just thought it was so wonderful because I was looking through the comments, and I loved seeing, where there were places where people were taking issue with a particular word or a particular phrase. And there were so many people that were coming in and saying, hey, I'd actually love to discuss this with you. You can PM me, but there was a quality in the intention of that that did not feel accusatory. It felt like an invitation. It felt like, hey, I want to share a viewpoint with you that you may not have considered before. And it almost brought tears to my eyes because I've seen so little of that.
It's amazing. It was amazing,
It was
right?
amazing.
And we're talking about 10,000 comments.
Yes.
But here's the thing, that's hard fought. We don't curate the comments, but we police them. And I'm very clear about that.
Can you talk about that distinction? Because I think, especially in our audience, and I know, you and I have so many friends in this space, people who are authors, people who lead companies, people who have the privilege of having an audience.
Yeah.
And I think they would love to hear from you. That's why I'm asking these questions, to have tools, because a lot of folks are like, I want my so-and-so who I admire to speak out. And I think what you said is so key here, that you've been studying this for 10 years and you walk into these conversations still feeling really nervous.
Oh my God. Oh, completely vulnerable. In fact, when I taped that Facebook Live on Charlottesville, my voice was shaking for the first 10 minutes of it. Like, I didn't know if I was going to be able to make it all the way through.
I didn't notice that, just so you know.
Yeah, no. If you don't want me to cuss and you don't want me to pray, that's awesome. Because what I'm not going to do is get up and bullshit you.
Right.
If you need me to wear a suit, I totally get it. I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to wear jeans and boots and probably I'll wear a nice shirt.
Yep.
But I'm not going to do that because I don't get up there when I speak in public. I don't get up there to talk to to talk from my Brooks Brothers self to your Brooks Brothers self. I get up there and when I walk on the stage, I'm going to talk about things that 90% of the people in the audience have never thought about, talked about, and are scared to listen to. And they need to see me as a person. And I'm just that person.
Yeah.
And so I'm not going to walk in with like a therapist outfit either. Like, well, I don't know how you define that, but if clogs are in that, then yes, I probably will. Liz Gilbert and I showed up together at an event and we both had like on like a poncho and clogs and like smart wool socks. And we were like, hey, camper.
Yes.
So it did kind of look like a therapist convention, but it's just, I think if you invite me, I want your event or your leadership team, I want it to be successful.
Yes.
And if you need me to be someone different than who I am, it's not going to be successful.
I've done somebody else.
Yeah. A decade ago, I've done that.
Yeah.
And then when I get off stage, I'm crying and I'm like, oh my God, I'm a total asshole. I just spent 90 minutes talking about authenticity, in clothes that I only wear to funerals. Yeah. Because then, and this is, I think, the heart of the book, then I may fit in for you, but I no longer belong to myself. And that is a betrayal I am not willing to do anymore. I spent the first 30 years of my life doing that. I'm not willing to betray myself anymore to fit in with you. I just can't do it.
I don't think I said it. I might have said it at the opening, but I just want to make sure I reiterate it. It's my little galley copy, but this is out now when this is airing. You guys have to get this book for yourself, for everyone that you know and love. And I'm going to maybe put you on the spot a little bit.
Yeah.
If you could be open to reading this last line. I was in tears with this one.
Yes. Oh, yeah. So this is the close of the book. Yeah. Okay. I'll leave you with this. There will be times when standing alone feels too hard, too scary, and we'll doubt our ability to make our way through the uncertainty. Someone somewhere will say, don't do it. You don't have what it takes to survive the wilderness. This is when you reach deep into your wild heart and remind yourself, I am the wilderness. You are the wilderness.
I love you.
Love you too.